In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create and work with Gantt charts in Empower. Gantt charts are very useful tools to visualize plans, and Empower offers you many options of adjusting your chart and adding different elements to it. But let's start with the basic generation of a Gantt chart. In order to insert a Gantt chart, simply click on the Gantt button in the Insert section of the Empower ribbon. If you're not using Empower Slides, you can navigate the Insert section of PowerPoint and click on Gantt Charts in the Empower Charts section right here. Now you can select the area where your Gantt chart should be placed. You can either click on a placeholder or use the drag and drop function to select the area. As you can see, the Gantt chart wizard opens up, a window which enables you to define the basic settings of your Gantt chart with very few clicks. Right here you can select the timeline and select or type in the start and end date of your Gantt chart. In the header settings, I have the option to use the recommended header settings or switch this option off and define my own header. For example, I could use the year. I can moreover change the color of my header setting element, and I have the possibility to choose if I want to show vertical lines or not. Concerning the months of my setter, I can also select the type of my month label if I want it to be automatically generated or if I want to use a long name, short name, letter or number. Right here I can select the maximum header font size and the region of my Gantt chart, which will affect the header and the date format. Moreover, I can define if faces should be shown at all or not, and how many faces and how many rows per face there should be. And right here I can choose if I want to use notes area columns and if I want to use one or two of them. And if I'm finished, I simply click on Insert, and as you can see, a beautiful Gantt chart is inserted into my PowerPoint slide, which I can now further work with. If I want to change some of the settings that I've just adjusted in the Gantt chart wizard, I can do so by navigating the action bar above my chart, clicking right here, and as you can see, I can change and adjust the date range and header settings also later on. In the Properties menu, I have the possibility to set my global settings for the chart, for example, the bar height or font size of the rows, or I can also choose if I want to show faces and notes area columns. But let's continue with adding several elements to our Gantt chart. First of all, I can insert new rows by simply clicking on this plus button right here. And I have the possibility to adjust the position of my rows by clicking on this button and simply moving it around. If I click on this wheel right here, the overlay menu of the row is appearing, where I can further format my row or delete it completely. I can insert a task by simply clicking anywhere into my Gantt chart and using the drag and drop function. While doing so, I can see the start and end date of my task that I'm just creating and the duration of my task. Another possibility to insert a task would be to simply click anywhere into my chart and select the option Add Task. Then an automatically generated task is inserted, which I can then further adjust in the overlay menu that is just popping up above my task. So I simply click on the calendar and select the proper dates of the task that I want to create. I can moreover choose if I want to use a label for my task or not, and further format my task concerning the fill color, pattern, outline, and style of my task. By clicking on the X, I'm deleting this task. This overlay is appearing above every task that I'm selecting. And as you can see, the faces are created automatically and sum up all the tasks that I've created in the rows that correspond and belong to the respective phase. If I'm working with many rows and have to insert many tasks, it can be a useful way to work with a mini Excel that I can navigate in the action bar right here and insert my tasks directly in here. So here you can see the tasks that we've just created, but we're going to have a closer look on the mini Excel later in this video. I can moreover simply move my tasks around in my chart if I want that, and you can see the options for moving it right above it. Another element that I can possibly insert into my Gantt chart is a milestone. By simply clicking into my Gantt chart, I can select the option Add Milestone, and as you can see, it is created. And in the corresponding overlay menu, I have quite similar options as we've already seen in the Tasks overlay menu. I can select the date, fill color, or I could also choose another marker style if I want that. Other elements that I can insert into my charts would be a highlight or a date line, and I can add them by clicking into my chart as we've seen before, or I could go to the markers menu in the action bar and click on date line, insert a date line, and as you can see, my date line is inserted right here, and I can create a highlight just like that. I can change the date, for example, right here, and as you can see, the highlight is inserted just like that. And as you can see in the markers menu, I also have the option to insert holidays into my chart. Therefore, I have to select the region of my holidays and insert it. And as you can see, the holidays that occur in the selected time range are displayed in my chart. If I want to show that two elements of my chart are connected, I can also insert a connector line. To do so, I can go to the markers menu and select connector, or I can click into my chart and select add connector right here. Now I have the option to choose a start and end point for the connector. And this is what the connector then looks like. And if I'm moving one of the connected tasks around, you can see that the connector is changed accordingly. Moreover, I have the possibility to lock the connector. By clicking on it, the overlay menu appears, and if I select Lock Connector, both tasks are now locked. And if I change the position of one task, the position of the connected task will be changed too. Now let's have a look at the notes columns that we've inserted right here. I can add text into my notes columns as I'm doing right now, or I could click on the wheel right here and insert some smart objects. That could be checkboxes, Harvey balls, or traffic lights. And by simply clicking on the respective element, I can choose in which way I want it to be displayed. And concerning the Harvey ball, I can also adjust the percentage value manually if I want to do so. Now I'm going to explain you how the mini Excel of the Gantt chart works. It is quite useful to know that the syntax of the Gantt chart mini Excel is fully explained in the help window that you can open by clicking right here, where all the mandatory and optional elements of the Gantt Excel syntax are explained in detail. Another possibility could of course also be to simply insert elements into your chart and then have a look at the mini Excel afterwards. And in most cases, it is rather easy to understand the logic of how these elements are presented in the Excel. But let's have a look at the basic elements of the mini Excel. First of all, every row has to have an ID and will be ignored otherwise if there's no ID inserted right here. The type could be a phase, a row, or a marker. And the name column contains the text that is then displayed in the Gantt chart. So if I'm changing, for example, phase 1 to onboarding, press enter, you can now see that this phase is called onboarding right here. And right here we have an arbitrary number of column groups that consist of start, end, and label columns. The start and end columns contain the start and end dates of my elements. So when I'm having a row with a start and end point, this would be a task. If I'm having a row only with a start point, this would be a milestone right here. If the type of the element is a marker and I have only the start point, this would be a dateline. And if I have a start and end point, as we're having right here, this would be a highlight, if the type is a marker. But all of these things are also explained in detail in the help window. The label column contains all the content of the labels, which can be a date that has to be added with this keyword right here, or it could be also text. For example, the label of this highlight is simply highlight, and you can see in the chart that this is the label of the highlight. But I could also use a combination of text and the date if I want that. Moreover, I can adjust the note section in the mini Excel as well. I can insert the text for my notes column, and I can also adjust the checkboxes, Harvey balls, and traffic lights right here. And how you can do that is explained in the help window, which is quite easy to understand. Now I'm going to show you a whole project plan, in this case an onboarding plan for a new coworker that I've already prepared on this slide, that is displayed by the use of a Gantt chart. And when you take a look at the mini Excel of this chart, you can see the same structure as we've already discussed, simply filled with more tasks and names of the Gantt chart elements. If there is a delay occurring in your, for example, project plan that you want to visualize and integrate into a Gantt chart, you can do this by navigating the action bar and the markers menu and selecting this option. And now you can type in the time frame of the delay that you want to integrate into your chart. Click on OK. And as you can see, a delay is inserted into your chart, and you might have noticed that all the tasks and elements of the project plan are moved backwards or stretched according to the delay that was just defined. Moreover, there's the possibility to make your delay invisible by selecting this option in the overlay menu. Furthermore, there's the possibility to deviate from an absolute calendrical display to the so-called generic mode. You can do this by going to the Properties menu and switch on generic mode. And as you can see, all the months and so on disappear, and now we're using only days that are counted. A usage example could be the creation of a template for a project plan, as in this case an onboarding plan, which then can be used independently of the specific dates for any time that I want. It is moreover possible to work with a complete regular Excel file and link that to my chart. Or I can create a Gantt chart using an Excel file. To create the Excel file for a Gantt chart, it can be very practical to firstly work with the mini Excel and PowerPoint that we've just seen right here, and then copy the respective area, as I'm doing right now, and inserting it into an Excel file. So this could save me a lot of time if I don't want to create all the columns and type in everything that I want. It is important to know that the whole Gantt chart and every element in it can be displayed in Excel. This is a very useful feature that Empower has to offer, and this makes working with a Gantt chart and Excel files a lot more efficient. For example, when you're using Excel for all of your project plans, you don't have to create every Gantt chart for each plan with PowerPoint and simply work with the Excel. So now we've seen how you can copy the data from the mini Excel simply into an Excel file, and now I'm going to show you how you can create a Gantt chart in PowerPoint by using an Excel file. As you see right here, I've prepared an Excel file with all the information that is necessary for a Gantt chart, and then I select the respective area and navigate the Insert section of Excel, go to the Empower Charts section and click on Link to New PowerPoint Object. Now the Gantt chart is already selected. I simply click on it and then I can select the area where I want to insert my chart. So now I'm selecting the placeholder and I see the Gantt wizard appearing once again. I just keep the settings as they are right now, click on Insert, and then you see that all the data from the Excel file is linked to this chart, and every element that is displayed in Excel is successfully shown in this chart right here. And in the data menu of the action bar above my chart, I have the possibility to manage my Excel links. So I can open the link source, edit the Excel link, or break it. And if I want to link an existing chart to an Excel file, I can also do this by clicking on the data menu, click on Excel link, and then I have the possibility to link an Excel file to this chart. But there's a whole nother video where I cover the topic of Excel links in detail. But I hope this video gave you a quick insight on the main features and functionalities of Gantt charts in Empower and how you can create and work with Gantt charts. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.